كل شويه اقول لهم بقتش قادره على الجمعه ده
It's
خلاص.
time for our daily press review, and we
بقى
are
صعب
joined
بالنسبه
today to
لي.
do with Miss Sama Eissa. She's an international law expert. Good morning, Sama. And we start off from Al-Yom Al-Saba newspaper, and we read the following headline. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi holds meeting with a number of ministers. President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi gave his directives on Monday to provide the bread quotas for the citizens who are eligible for subsidy without decrease. This came during President's meeting with the Prime Minister Sharif Ismail, Ministers of Defense, Foreign Affairs, Interior, Justice, Finance and Supply, as well as the head of the General Intelligence and Administrative Control Authority. The meeting reviewed the Ministry of Supply measures to reform the bread distribution system to eliminate problems. So, Sama, in your opinion, what is the importance of updating the database codes?
I think it's such a necessity at this point. The updating of the database is essential in order to ensure a fair distribution and also to create a foundation that can sustain Egypt on the long run. Having such a database can avoid casualty, chaos, and the randomness within the subsidies distribution in the future. So it's very essential, and from the ministers involved within this meeting, it looks like it's a major priority. We have high-ranking personnel of the ministers within the meeting, and I'm very optimistic if this happened as the vision you've just mentioned in the news.
And still with Al-Yom Al-Saba newspaper, and we read Prime Minister meets with the World Bank Vice President. Prime Minister Sharif Ismail met on Monday with World Bank Vice President Jan Wolser and his accompanying delegation in attendance of Minister of Investment and International Cooperation, Dr. Sahar Nasr. The meeting tackled cooperation with the World Bank as well as Egypt's in general ranking regarding the business and investment environment according to the World Bank classification. The Prime Minister praised cooperation between the World Bank and Egypt as he reviewed the recent economic reforms in Egypt. The Prime Minister also stressed the government's determination to continue the same approach to complete the reform process until reaching the goals set despite the economic challenges. So how do you assess cooperation between Egypt and the World Bank, and how can Egypt use this cooperation to attract more investments?
Well, definitely here they're mentioning in the news that it's facing challenges, but the challenge that Egypt are facing is due to the condition that the World Bank themselves pose. They have certain conditions that they distribute in any country that's in need of reform. And sometimes it's completely unfair because each country and each case has different scenarios. So my only concern now is that the condition that the World Bank imposed on Egypt led to a crisis with foreign investment. So what I'm looking forward is that we work hand in hand with the World Bank and the Egyptian government in order to create a safe environment for foreign investors, because the crisis that we're facing is due to those conditions. And recently a report has been released by Europe calling the World Bank reforms actually development of injustice, which reflect back to the harsh conditions that sometimes are perfectly set for certain countries and completely unfair to others. In this moment, my only concern is the foreign investors. I hope the World Bank cooperates with the government to solve this problem and create a safe and very welcoming environment for the investors in Egypt.
And moving to Al-Shuruq, and we read Minister of Interior visits injured policemen. Minister of Interior General Magdi Abdel Ghaffar said that the determination of the policemen to combat destructive elements seeking to create chaos in the society is supporting the security agencies to face all sources of terrorism and crime. He said that the policemen's determination is also supporting the achievement of security and stability felt by the Egyptian people. During his visit to the injured policemen in North Sinai operations who are receiving treatment in the police hospital, the Minister of Interior praised their high morale. So what's your comment on this?
My comment on this to be really sincere for the comes to the policemen in Egypt. After the revolution, they has been really shaky their position. They're not in the same position as before the revolution. So such a visit is very important for the policemen because they are an important sect within the government and the country and needed for their morale, for their self-esteem. So I think it's very positive, and I'm loving this news. And it doesn't have to happen just in Egypt. Even in hegemonic countries and in France, such incidents happen. Like ministers do visit personnel that get injured within police or the army. So it's very good activity, and I hope to witness more of it in the future.
And moving to Al Akhbar newspaper, and we read Egyptian Bahraini joint military exercise Hamad 2 kicks off. The Egyptian Bahraini joint military exercise Hamad 2 kicked off with the participation of units from air and naval forces of both countries and will continue over several days in the Kingdom of Bahrain. The exercise includes many activities, including the exchange and transfer of training experiences between the two sides. The exercise also includes training in defense and attack on vital points and goals, as well as implementing tactical air and naval maneuvers to manage the joint fighting among elements participating from all majors. So the importance of these military exercises on the long run.
Usually any cooperation between two sovereign states when it comes to the military, it's enhancement of power. They share experiences, they share taxes, so it's always beneficial for the countries. But here I'm trying to take the news into a more deeper look, like more detailistic look, how we can get the maximum benefit of this. Since the cooperation is already on track, even though it's a bit military, maybe we should take it to other levels. Exchange of experiences, weapons, and then ties between the two governments and the countries themselves. So this is very beneficial, of course, for Egypt, but we need to always abuse whatever cooperation that happens with other sovereign states to the benefit of the country.
And still with Al Akhbar newspaper, and we read the Ministry of Antiquities decides to transfer the statue of Ramses II. Ministry of Antiquities decided to transfer the statue of Ramses II to restoration laboratories in Misalla area after extracting the second part of it on Monday. The move comes in preparation to transfer the statue to the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir on Thursday. The extraction process was attended by a large number of senior officials in the Ministry of Antiquities, Egypt's candidate for UNESCO Ambassador Mushira Khattab, as well as parliamentary committee including MPs Osama Hekel, Yusuf Al-Aqid and Lamis Geber. So first, the importance of this discovery and how can we utilize this discovery to market for Egyptian tourism?
First of all, as much as this news is insanely positive at the current state of Egypt, but I'm disappointed for two things concerning this news. That we did not use benefit, or we didn't have the maximum benefit out of this event. First of all, the scene, if you look at it when it happened of the discovery, of course they handled it very well, but the scene visually, if this is happening in a developing country, it should have boundaries, it should not have common people around the area and kids around this area. You're getting a national heritage. This is a national treasure. I know they handled it with care, definitely, but it should have looked more professional. And the other take is that we didn't really get the maximum benefit out of it. For the tourists of Egypt currently, for instance, we could have done a press conference inviting all the national televisions to broadcast the discovery. We can have we can have Egyptian experts to talk about the monuments, talk about the national treasure in detail. This will be a great marketing tool as a promotion for what's happening in Egypt, and considering the current status of Egypt that touristic-wise, it needs lots of boost.
Yes, and moving to Al-Yom Al-Sabah newspaper, and we read the International Tourism Bourse concludes activities. The International Tourism Bourse ITB 2017 concluded its activities in Berlin with the participation of the Egyptian Pavilion. The Egyptian Pavilion witnessed intensive meetings for Tourism Minister Yahya Rashid with tourism experts, as well as a number of German officials and Arab tourism ministers to restore the inbound tourist traffic to Egypt during the coming period. So what's your take on the tourism ministry's keenness to participate in these events and to promote for Egypt abroad?
There is no doubt it's very good for Egypt benefit. We should enhance our presence in such events, because as even we were talking earlier, half of the news today was talking about Egypt tourism, because we have like a gem, we have something very powerful and very beneficial, but we are not using it to the maximum. So I think we need to enhance our presence, not just in this event, even in other events. We don't miss one. So, because Egypt really needs it at the moment.
Okay, and still with Al-Yom As-Saba newspaper, and we read Iraqi forces advance after terrorists trapped in Mosul. Iraqi forces said Monday they had taken more territory from Daesh terrorist group as they press an offensive that has seen them recapture a third of West Mosul and trap territories inside. A renewed push launched on March 5th has forced Daesh out of several neighborhoods and key sites, including the main local government headquarters and the famed Mosul Museum, tightening the noose around the terrorist dares. West Mosul is the most populated urban area still held by terrorists, followed by Syria's Raqqa, which is also a key target in the U.S.-led anti-Daesh campaign. And dear viewers, we have more details about the situation in Iraq in the coming report.
Iraqi forces said on Monday that they have taken more territory from militants and were searching for militants and bombs on the edges of the old city as they press an offensive in West Mosul. They are also striking Daesh with armed drones as part of a renewed push launched on March 5th that has forced the militants out of several neighborhoods and key sites, including the famed Mosul Museum. Iraq's Joint Operations Command announced additional gains on Monday, saying that forces from the elite counterterrorism service had recaptured in Nafat and Mosul al-Jadida neighborhoods. The command said armed observation drones are being used to monitor and strike Daesh, as Iraqi forces also targeted militant defenses and positions with field artillery and rockets. According to the International Organization for Migration, more than 68,000 people have fled West Mosul since February 25th, streaming to camps around the city. However, that is only a small fraction of the 750,000 people who were estimated to still be in West Mosul at the time the operation was launched.
Back to you, Sama. How do you see the situation in Iraq?
Well, honestly, this is the last phase, and this is the most
Yes.
vicious phase we're going to see of Daesh. They're not. This is the hardest spot that they're trying to get them out of now, and it is their last. And lots of them declared that they're not going to leave. So it's going to be an ugly fight.
Yes.
But this is their last. Like, if this point or this stage we're going over with it, then that's it. We're done. ISIS is dead. But my other concern that they should not go without a punishment. Like recently, Amal Clooney did the speech within the UN. What Daesh committed, or ISIS, this is a genocide. This is literally the definition of genocide. So they cannot go unpunished for two reasons. First, for justice. Second, so other terrorist group that other hegemonic countries would create or would think of developing themselves know that there are consequences for their actions. So the international community need to get together on 2 points. First, get hand in hand with Iraq in order to end this vicious cycle with the maximum casualties, even though it's very hard to prevent. Second, the international community needs to get together within the United Nations and enhance the process of punishing ISIS. This is a case of genocide, and it cannot go unpunished at all.
And moving to Al Watan newspaper, and we read the Egyptian bourse gains 167 million pounds. The Egyptian bourse ended Monday's trading session on a positive note due to purchasing operations of foreign investors. The market's main index, EGX 30, was up 0.07% to reach 12,929.13 points. Similarly, the small and medium shares index, EGX 70, added 0.34% to reach 521.91 points, and the broader index, EGX 100, gained 0.27% to reach 1,243.07 points. Trading volume reached 196.13 million shares exchanged, with 1.6 billion pounds. The market's capital gained 167 million pounds to reach 637.997 billion pounds. Foreign investors tendered for buying with 163.3 million pounds, while Egyptian and Arab investors tendered for selling with 151.5 million pounds and 11.77 million pounds respectively. Moving to Al-Akhbar newspaper and the weather conditions. We read moderate weather expected on Tuesday. Meteorologists predict moderate weather to prevail on Tuesday on the northern coasts and warm weather on the Delta and Cairo until the north of Upper Egypt. Warmer weather is also expected on the south of Upper Egypt during daytime, but it will be very cold at night across the country, with temperatures in Cairo are expected to be 22 and 13. Mist will affect visibility in the northern coasts, the Delta, Cairo, and the canal cities, as medium-level clouds are expected on the north of the country. Moderate wind will be northwestern and will be active sometimes on the Gulf of Suez and the Red Sea. Waves in the Mediterranean are expected to average between 1.5 and 2 meters high, while waves in the Red Sea are expected to average between 2 and 2.5 meters high, with northwestern surface wind on both seas. With this, dear viewers, we come to the end of today's edition of the Press Review, and I'd like to thank my guest for today, Ms. Sama Eissa. She's an international law expert. Thank you, Sama. Now we'll go for a short break, and we'll be back with the breakfast show, so stay tuned.